Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dark Finds podcast. On today's episode, we have tattoo artist Anrijs Straume, who works out of Bold as Brass tattoo shop in Liverpool. His style is dark trash realism, and I have to say it's one of my favourite styles. I've linked his Instagram in the description so you can check out some of his work. He has a really interesting story, moving from Latvia to the UK in his early 20s. We dive into horror movies, his motivations, aliens, music, and so much more. Roll the music. Yeah, and so I think your style of work is so interesting. Horror trash tattoo style. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I say dark trash realism.
Yeah,
I don't use horror word because I think anything can be dark, kind of sort of dark feeling.
yeah, and it definitely gives that horror vibe. And even your print work, I was going through some of the prints. We're actually going to be moving house, hopefully soon. And I'm going to have a bit of a studio there, but I really want to get some of them prints. I seen there
Yeah.
was a Freddy Krueger one that just blew my
Oh
mind.
yeah. Have to
Yeah,
send you some of them.
yeah. And I suppose, do you have a preference then of drawing these elaborate prints, or do you rather just going on doing skin work, tattoo work?
I prefer skin actually. I think that's my favorite medium because I'm so used to working with skin. So I feel like sometimes those drawings take me a lot longer than it would take me as to do tattoo.
Yeah, and I suppose the drawings are so detailed as well. But
Yeah.
realism. It's I suppose even to go back to the start of it, because I'd seen in the documentary you have on YouTube online that it took you a while to break out. Because when I look at your work, I'm thinking like this is a master at work.
Yeah.
But in the documentary I seen with you, which is on YouTube, everyone check it out if you haven't seen it already. You go in that it was very difficult in the beginning, and it was hard for you to find your niche. So I suppose, do you want to go back to how you first got into tattooing, and we'll take it from there.
Cool. All right. Long story right there. So first, I started liking tattoos, like most of the people probably who gets into tattooing, and that came to me from metal music and the all the metal artist influences and stuff, because most of the metal musicians were covered in tattoos, and also like I know that style just always got me interested. And because I was really into art and drawing anyway, I kind of felt that I would love to be covered in tattoos myself. I wasn't really thinking much about to start tattooing or anything like that in beginning, but then when I got a bit older and I got started getting tattoos, it was like million years ago that was, and it wasn't like now when you just asked your artist and they design something for you. Back then, like early 2000s and like something like that, it was like you had to bring design over to your artist and they will tattoo it on you, or you have to pick something from the wall. So the chance there wasn't that much choice to what to get tattooed or stuff like that. So anyway, I was drawing my own tattoos and I was bringing them to the studio for them to get tattooed on me. And at some point I thought, well, might as well do it myself, because what's the point for me keep drawing designs for them, doing half of the job there already. And yeah, then it took a couple of years for me to save up for the tattoo machine, and I started tattooing more like a hobby. I would never even could dream that I could be full-time tattooer or something like that. For me, it was more like a hobby to do on the side, mostly for my friends. For my friends, I was doing tattoos on them, and I wasn't even charging much. Sometimes just some bottle of beer or something like that was good enough, or just to pay for the needles, the new sterilized needles and all that stuff and inks. But that's about it. I was never thinking it will become something bigger than that. And I was still quite happy with that being like that. But then I lost my job because it was 2018. That was a recession came, and I lost my job, and I had to find money somehow and stuff. And I was just started doing a bit more, and trying to kind of figure things out. And then my friend, he moved to England actually, and So I was back home in Latvia, still living there and tattooing from my home, from my apartment. So completely wrong way. Wouldn't recommend that to anyone, and that was just complete wrong way. But for me at that point, that was the only possible way. And again, like looking back now, I think I wasn't really thinking much about it. I was just doing things and wasn't thinking what I'm doing and wasn't much worrying about things like that. Completely young and dumb.
Yeah. And
And
Anrijs,
so,
you said there, you experimented a lot, I suppose, on your friends and on yourself. I have a friend that's a tattoo artist, and he was saying that when he was starting out, he practiced on pigskin and even practiced on an orange. Was that something that was popular back then, or was it you just wanted to
mm,
on a real on a real life?
yeah, it wasn't popular back then because, first of all, even if you wanted to practice on pigskin, you had to buy it. I don't know, it doesn't cost much probably, but I never practiced it because you still have to invest money for the practice. But if you have your friends that are willingly want to practice completely, you don't need to, you'd only need to invest in machines and like needles and inks, like I said before, but you don't need to buy extra products. So there was no fake skins around there, and I wasn't tattooing on fruits either. I was straight on skin and nothing
Onto the
else.
live subject. And Henri,
Yeah.
so what age were you then when you arrived? Was it I think it was Derby you arrived to in the
Yeah,
UK, was
first I
it?
got into Derby. What age? My math is not good. I'd say I was about 23 or 22.
23, so still
Yeah,
young. And
23.
had you been out of Latvia much? Was this like one of the biggest trips
No,
you've
that was the
done?
first time I ever was abroad. I was before once to Ireland just to visit there for a weekend and stuff. And other than that, I hasn't haven't been anywhere else. And I
Yeah.
straight packed my bags and came to England without like nothing.
And what was that
Um,
like? Were you scared? Were you excited? Were you like, what am I doing? Where was your mind?
That exactly all those things all in once together. It was obviously I was scared, like I was exciting as well because I really love English language and England and everything about it. Because I was growing up watching all the TVs, mostly American, of course, but still like music. Like Prodigy, Placebo, and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and Radiohead, or like Portishead and stuff like that, Massive Attack, all of them from England, So I was like huge, like I really loved here anyway. So yeah, when I came here, obviously I was mega excited. I would say I thought it would be completely different. I thought not in a bad way or a good way, but I don't know why I thought I'll come here and everyone will be alternative, kind of like it is Camden Town and London. I thought all England
Nordic.
is like that. For me, everything was like that. But then when I came to like Derby and realized, oh, it's not like that at all. There's only like, I don't know, 100 maybe alternative people in whole city or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. And so you arrive in Derby. Where did you go? I think you said you had a friend living there. Were you able to stay with him or her for a while?
Yeah, I stayed with him for a couple of weeks. It was actually I stayed with him in his bedroom. They were house share and stuff, so it was tiniest room, and we were four people staying there just for a couple of weeks. And then we kind of found a place. Me and my ex-girlfriend, we found a place to stay ourselves, and like a small as well. And I was just trying to find some job really, but I was only trying to find the tattoo job. So I got my portfolio ready and I went around to every single tattoo studio out there, and I think there was 9 or 10 tattoo studios, and all of them said like, no, what are you doing? You shouldn't even be tattooing. Like, but obviously I understand it now because I shouldn't be tattooing from the home. But back then I was like, well, I am tattooing, so it's like
And
not
how
like I
did you
can
like?
change that.
Because I know from writing, you face so much rejection because it's so hard to break into, a fiction or a thriller writer. It's so difficult. But how are
It's
you?
difficult,
How are you
yeah.
handling that rejection? Because it's brutal, especially you're 23, maybe 24. You're at a very critical time. When your self-esteem should be built up and you should be ready to go. But next thing you're getting kick in the teeth, kick in the teeth. Where was your
Yeah.
mind? You're like, I've gone down the wrong path. I need to pivot. Where was your mind at?
I think, yeah, it's like it's so hard to even describe. First of all, I wasn't really excited. Like I said, I was excited to be in England, yeah, but I'm quite depressed person anyway, so I was always super depressed. So rejections wouldn't even put me down as much because I was
Okay.
quite down anyway, as I am. I would just be like kept going. And like it again, it's so hard to go back to my mind space back then because I didn't know if it will ever work out. It was kind of like trying and see where it takes me, and if it doesn't take me anywhere, I would be fine with it anyway. I think I would give up probably at some point. It was never like I wouldn't ever give up. I will just carry on with my dreams because I never even had a dream in the first place. This was just something I wanted to do. I thought it would be cool, and I really loved it, but I never had that huge career and that I had to work for it. I never had that in my mind. So I was
Yeah.
just kept doing what I thought would felt right to me. I kind of at some point some of my friends said like, look, you are struggling, maybe you should go and find some job somewhere else. But I felt like I can still feed myself some sort of way, and I
Yeah.
can still kind of barely cover my bills. So I'm not really that struggling that much that I should completely give up on something what I like and go to find job what will give me a little bit more money where I can buy some extras for me. I never had that kind of
Yeah.
um,
And it's like
feeling.
sometimes, artists and struggle go hand in hand. So sometimes it's
Yeah,
part of the artist journey really to be
definitely. Now
scraping by.
looking back that I feel that it so much taught me all those struggles. But when you were back then, obviously you don't know what the future will be. So your mindset was completely different. At least mine was completely different.
Yeah, I'm similar. When I try, because I moved to Canada when I was 23, and
That's the
again,
same.
I
Yeah.
had no education. I'd nothing. I was working in fitness at the time, but yeah, I found it really difficult to find work. And like there was, I try to go back and remember now because I've got my shit together pretty much now. But I try to go back and remember, but I'm like, it's like a different person. It's very hard to get
Yeah.
back into that mental space to figure out who I was then or what was motivating me or not motivating me. But
Yeah.
speaking on that,
Got
Anrijs, was there like what was there a different job that you would have that you wanted to do, or maybe was there a different career path that you were kind of teetering close to?
For me, like obviously I would want to do a lot of different things, especially something with movies and stuff. I would always be interested in like movie props, or even like stop motion movies and making some dolls for that, or something with art. It was always something with art. At some point, I was trying to sell some of my drawings. Well, successfully, I did sell some of them and stuff, and doing like commissions for like people and stuff like that. But to me it was always something with art and music as well. I'm like super huge still into music, so I would be always would wanted to do something with music, but that again goes with art. So
And
as long as it's art, I'm happy.
when you're saying music, singing wise or instrument wise, or
Whatever,
yeah,
anything, I'll do anything.
yeah,
If there was an option.
yeah, yeah. No,
So
definitely. And I suppose going on to some more of the horror. So when you get to Derby, you're doing the tattoo work. I think I'd seen in your in that documentary that you were selling the flash art and stuff.
yeah, I
Uh,
was drawing some flash. So eventually, in the Derby actually got into one studio space. The studio owner, Joe from Studio 1 to 2, he's like, I'm super blessed that I met him in my life, and I wouldn't be here without him at all. So,
yeah,
like, always mega thankful for him. And so at some point, yeah, he did say he just opened the studio. I came, like I said before, I came all the studios all around the Derby, and in the one studio, he said, I just opened the studio. I don't have any work for you, but if you come over, like sometime, hang out in the studio, maybe eventually, if I get busier, we can give you some sort of jobs. So that was my only really option, and I was like grateful for that option. So that gave me space to hang out at the studio. I was coming there, I think maybe once or twice a week in beginning, just to clean up a little bit, help around them, just chat and work on some art and stuff like that. And slowly I was going there more and more. And then he was kind of giving me some small jobs to do and some like money sometimes as well in beginning before I even started tattooing. And then slowly, I think about maybe 4 or 5 months later, maybe even a little bit later, I started slowly tattooing on some of my friends at that studio and some of the people I knew. And that's how I kind of got into it right way. It was kind of sort of apprenticeship and
yeah.
helper position at once. Like I wouldn't say it was apprentice position because like tattoo wise he didn't taught me too much. We kind of were learning a lot of things together with him, but it was more like studio apprenticeship and how to be with
Yeah.
people. And while I was there, I was drawing some Flash as well to make some sort of money. I was selling some Flash designs to some people who going around tattoo studios there, and then they print your Flash designs and sell it to other studios.
Yeah.
Because that was sort of what was UK at that point. That was about 15 years ago, and I remember because we had in the studio Flash already designs. I was like going through them, and I never seen something what I was drawing because I kind of felt that no one is drawing that, and so I thought maybe there's a niche for me what I can give or what I can put in this tattoo world. And but my work was more inspired, I guess, by horror, by Tim Burton's
Yeah.
art, by horror movies, and by some of the American artists and stuff like that. So I was mostly drawing like a creepy dolls and
Yeah.
zombies and bloody things. It was all full color pieces as well.
Yeah, and that's the where the horror probably theme comes out of that we see so much in your modern work. But I suppose even to go back there, because I remember I got my first tattoo. I think it was 20 year ago, and yeah, around 20 year ago to yeah, and I had to travel to Dublin. So I live in the Midlands of Ireland, pretty much. But it was
Yeah,
so hard to like there wasn't many tattoo shops and stuff like that compared to now. You know,
yeah, yeah,
there's loads more. So I suppose it was probably at a kind of turning point around that time when you came over to England, where tattoos were becoming far more popular. Have you seen that? Like where you know it's become far more mainstream anyway to have a tattoo compared to when you arrived over there in 2008.
yeah. I think when I already started tattooing, it was already becoming quite mainstream, and I think that was like kind of big help and big another big thing what helped me to become a tattooer that what I am today because it was already kind of blowing up slowly. It was the TV shows Miami Ink and LA Ink and those ones they were playing in like Discovery Channel or whatever, and that kind of really changed everything about tattooing. What I feel like today because uh, kind of when I just started, it was still, especially back home, it was a bit behind and everything. It was still quite underground. It was still only for alternative people or like
Yeah,
I don't know, you know. But here, when I came, you can see that already casual people getting tattooed, you know, and getting good tattoos, and I was like mind blown by that, and yeah, definitely from there it just escalated to it just every single year it was bigger and bigger and bigger, and more TV shows, more in media, more celebrities getting tattooed, and everything like that.
yeah. I see. I wrote a book set in ancient Greece before, and I went into a rabbit hole because I wanted to have a character that had tattoos within within the book in ancient Greece. So I went into an absolute rabbit hole of the history of tattoos and you know why people got tattoos in ancient times and stuff like that. But I was absolutely fascinated to learn that the first evidence to have of tattoos is 5,300 years ago,
Yeah,
and the guy that found, I think he had 57 tattoos on him. And one of the most interesting theories there is on it, that a lot of it was for joint pain alleviation. He had a lot of like on his knees and all on joints. But there's other perspectives that, it was maybe cultural or spiritual or religiously symbolic. But what do you think is the main motivation for people getting tattoos? And I know it's a myriad maybe of reasons, or maybe even to bring it back to you. What's your passion? Why do you? Because I see you have a lot of tattoos there. Why? What's the motivation?
well, for me, motivation always been again going back to music because of the rock stars had tattoos, so I just wanted to look like them. You know, not like I wanted to be a rock star, but I wanted to look like them because to me, how they look that's the most beautiful thing in the world. You know, to my brain back then, and that's why I got tattooed. Right now, I'm getting tattoos. Like today, my motivation is more because I still have empty spaces everywhere, and kind of annoys me because I just want to get more tattoos. They look cool. I really like how they look, and I don't know. I'm
Yeah, I
probably
went.
that's
Yeah, I went into the psychology because I've noticed now. I'm after ramping. Getting similar. I'm looking at any blank space, and I'm like, it's starting to. I keep wanting to fill them up. And I went into the psychology of it because, that's kind of my background's in psychology. So I wanted to see, like, what's this? Because I constantly keep wanting to get more. And it's like, I look at blank space now and it's like, oh, I don't like to look at that. I want to fill it. And I've always been into body modification. Like, even I did bodybuilding when I was younger. Piercings. But I think tattoos they're a different sort of uh, desire to get them. Like, so a lot of research was saying that it's not to do with, like, there's endorphins released and there's endocannabinoids and stuff released into your bloodstream or chemicals when you're getting the tattoo, but it doesn't really equate for the desire. So have you any theories on why the desire, why, like, 'cause you hear people I got one tattoo and next thing they just have to get another. What's driving that desire to for people to get tattoos, or that you see in your shop?
Yeah. Well, again, the different type of people and many different type of, I guess, reasons why they should get, and I can go into it for hours probably. But I think the psychology reason, I don't even know. Why would you? It's kind of once you get one, that's it. Doors is open. I would say the same goes. For example, if you have rooms with like your room right now with everything empty, but my one is full of canvas. And I think,
Yeah,
for example, like you said, you're moving into new place and you put like one painting on a wall. If there's no paintings, that's fine. You can live like that,
yeah,
whatever. But you start something, you put like one painting on the wall, and then like next week you think like, oh, that other corner looks quite empty now. Maybe we should put another painting there. So you put another painting there, and then you see the third corner of the wall. You're like, oh, let's put something else there. Maybe let's put some fancy like vase there or something like that. And I think you just want to keep upgrading the
yeah,
the space, around you. You don't want to live in like four white walls and nothing else. So I think similar to the skin, once you start if you don't have any tattoos, it's okay, you can live like that. But once you start getting one smaller one or two tattoos, you kind of start feeling, oh, maybe I should add more because it looks quite cool, gives you some satisfaction, gives you something to talk about with other people, or something meaningful for your like um, for the time of your life, or I know your favorite even bands or musicians or something like that. And so you get those on you and you kind of feel better about it. And that's why you can kind of keep thinking that you want something else, because you just want to add something else to your empty walls, I guess.
that's definitely how I feel at the moment. I got my chest on there recently, and I just couldn't believe how painful it was. Like, 'cause I got them on my legs, arms, neck, back, but the chest going up that center valley. Oh, it was. I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm in for here. I got it all done in one session because I was like, I didn't realize it was going to be so sore. Number one, and number two. Yeah, I just wanted it all done in one, but my God, it really there was a pinch to it. You have obviously far more. Where has been the real pain point, or the part where you were like dreading to put the needle?
With like, I'd say past like 10 years already, every single tattoo is like dreading. I really hate them. I hate getting them. It's like hurts so badly. Well, usually I'd say the most painful is the last one you got, and the last one I got was lines on my head, and that was really, really painful. I would say, I don't know, on 1 to 10, like 9.5, how bad it was to me. But again, I'm really bad with getting them. And
Yeah,
I think partly it's because I almost covered all of my body, and those last things, I'm just like, it almost feels like a job for me, not even excited. I'm not even exciting to getting them
yeah,
anymore. I kind of like, when I'm in tattoo bed myself, I just feel like, oh, why am I doing this? And I'm like, I hate everything about it.
yeah.
But then when it's done, I love it.
That's the thing. My wife actually, she got her first tattoo on her foot, which I think is like one of the really painful parts. But I didn't think she'd ever get another one because it nearly traumatized her, the pain. But she has gone on since, and back of the arm and stuff like that. And like the pain can, I think it does turn people off, or people that haven't got a tattoo sometimes when they hear needle and that are like, no, no. But I think it's becoming so mainstream. I watched Bare Knuckle FC, the fight. It was in Milton Keyes last night. I watched it online, but I watched it with my mom and dad, and we're like every fighter nearly was covered in tattoos, and it's just you just see them everywhere now. Where I remember when I got my first tattoo, people were saying, "Oh, you'll never get a job," or stuff like that. But it's so good to see that there's that kind of turnaround where it's, they've become far more acceptable. Like I'd even read before that the emperor, I think it was Augustine or that, in Rome, banned tattoos in 300 BC because it was marking God's creation. And so I think there's always been this probably push back to tattoos, and then they become more mainstream because every culture has had them from what I've researched anyway. So it does be fascinating. But I suppose I want to jump into the horror next. I know you're a big horror fan, and a lot of your work is inspired by horror. What's your favorite types of horror movies? Are you more paranormal? Is it more psychopaths? What's the genre of choice?
Um, again, it changes over the years. Right now, my favorite probably is more like psychological thrillers and like maybe dark psychological thrillers or sci-fi horror. I really like as well. But as a horror, like for example, slashers or like ghost ones or paranormal ones, I'm not that much into it
Yeah,
right now because I don't know why. It kind of seems that I've seen it all and it's just all recycled and over again. I still love the classic ones, all like 80s horrors, like even like 90s horrors. I think they were super original ones and stuff. But I think after about 2000 like 10 everything is the same apart from couple of really cool films, and I feel I'm not into the newer stuff anymore.
yeah. I'll never forget. I see when the first time I seen The Omen, I was only
All
like
right.
really young, but I remember like during it, I was asking Dad to search my head to see had I 666 on it, and I had this thing like where I was constantly afraid that 666, this birthmark would appear on my head. But I think that was horror in its absolute glory. Like that movie,
Yeah,
The Omen, was just, it really
that's a
stuck with
good
me.
film. I was scared of it as well.
Yeah. And I think it caught me at an age when I was young enough to be really terrified by by a really good horror. Where with
the
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the most terrified I was from Freddy Krueger was when I was kid, like, and then luckily for me, like, I didn't even know he comes in the dreams and stuff. So because I didn't get it, I was about 6 years old when I saw it. I kind of didn't even got that point, I didn't understand the concept of Freddy or anything, just that he was slicing everyone with his like razor's glove and stuff, and so. I was terrified that I thought he sleeps like right next to my bed and stuff. But I think I was scared for about good like 2 years or something. Every single night I was scared of it. And yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, luckily I didn't know he comes in the dreams. If I would knew that, wouldn't probably even go to sleep at all.
And Freddy as a villain hits the trifecta. So he looks terrifying. His mode of killing is terrifying. But I think where he freaked me out or feared me up most was that coming in a dream. So there's almost
Yeah,
like that time just before you're going to sleep where your mind kind of wanders a bit. And you know, that's the legacy of that movie. It's, he comes right at that vulnerable time when you're just about to fall asleep. Incredible movie. And I agree with you. It feels there's a paucity of really good screenwriting these days. You don't, it doesn't feel the same as, and maybe it's just because we're getting older.
yeah, probably.
And maybe become a bit more cynical, but I always feel some of them older horror movies were just brilliant. One of the really good ones I seen recently, uh, and it was a thriller. I know you said you like thrillers. Was Nightcrawler, and
Oh
I
yeah,
liked it
yeah,
for the simple fact it portrayed a psychopath, and it's probably one of its purest elements because they have a tendency maybe towards criminality. But in that movie, it's the callousness and it's the regard to just get ahead at all costs, whether he's going staging these murders or that. But that was a really good thriller. Is there anything that's caught your attention lately of the modern era, I suppose, that stood out more so?
well, one from the modern horror films, the one that I really enjoyed was Talk to Me, if you've seen that
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
I really love that one because it felt a bit original. I love the cinematography of that movie. It was amazing. The shot well and just it was creepy. Like I would tell that after that movie we watched it in nighttime as well, and I was needed to go to like next room to bed. I was like, damn, I'm
yeah,
thinking about it. And
yeah,
I always think that's a good one if you keep thinking about it after.
yeah. The
And
Blair
of
Witch
course I
Project.
love the Hereditary. That's like a masterpiece.
Yeah,
and Midsummer and stuff like that. That's like the modern kind of
yeah.
where it can
Hereditary
go.
was incredible. That had a lasting
Terrifying that
impression on me.
one. Yeah,
But even the Blair Witch Project, I remember, and I think this is what I love about a really good horror movie. Like when it just catches you by surprise. I was like, I don't want to camp out in the woods for a while because we live in the Midlands, Ireland. There's a lot of like woods and stuff like that, and you'd hang out when you're like a teenager and stuff in the woods. But I remember being like, the woods took on a different, a different atmosphere for me after that Blair Witch Project come out. It was
yeah.
just a bit eerier. Wait, did you like X Files when you were younger? Were you an X
Yeah,
Files?
I was scared of, terrified from them, especially from the music. Even in the beginning, when it starts, I
Oh,
was already, yeah, I was too scared to watch it, to be honest, when I was like growing up.
yeah. My sister used to every Sunday night on Sky One, X Files would be on. I think it was 9 o'clock, and I'd go to bed like absolutely terrified. There's one episode, I don't know if you can remember it, but it's in a hospital and the door just closes and there's a patient in the bed and they're like get strapped down to the bed by this invisible force, and it's just
No.
that level of psychological trauma and is brilliant. It was one of my favorite shows I think of all time, and
There
I
was like one of the most terrified was when I would remember was when there was guy like living in the sewers and he was kind of like
yeah,
small and like,
in
and
New
I think
York,
this his skin was like yellow or something, like it
yeah.
was really creepy.
That was the it was in New York sewer. I think it was around season
Yeah,
three, maybe. But yeah, I got obsessed with aliens after, and a lot of my tattoos and stuff are kind of more. I have an alien.
yeah, I love alien stuff as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I just want, like, if they're out there, I just want to. I hope we get to see them in my lifetime, if they
Hopefully,
are out
fingers
there.
crossed.
And there seems to be so much more. There seems to be so much more. Again, like tattoos, aliens was something on the fringe, kind of like, if you believed in aliens or you talked about UFOs or stuff, people kind of look at you with a side eye. But I think like tattoos, it's just it became more mainstream, and now you see people talking about aliens far more and with more credibility. It doesn't feel like it's something to be kind of laughed at or mocked. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, people do talk about aliens quite normal now, but then they also admitted that they are actually those entities and NLAs or something now that
yeah,
they do exist, like a government apparently admitted it. And what I found it funny because they came up and made that huge conference when they say yes, we have actually proved that aliens exist, and people were just like, yeah, whatever. No one even cares about it anymore at this point. Everyone kind of, we knew about it anyway.
yeah. And then you have the others. You have some people then that are like, just because the government and mainstream media saying it, they don't believe it. They're nearly gone
Oh,
the opposite way.
or maybe. Yeah, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, that's a big inspiration I find for a lot of my tattoos. And I like it's hard to get a really good X Files one, like because that's I was trying to like I'd looked up some kind of inspiration work online, but that's definitely probably a bit of skin on the leg, an X File
Yeah.
team one.
I have tattooed once Agent Scully before from the
Ah,
X-Files. I have to
nice.
find somewhere that tattoo and show you later.
Oh, definitely,
It was pretty
definitely.
sick one.
Yeah, that show, I don't know, there was something about it. It was so ahead of its time, I find. It was really pushed the limits
Yeah.
like of kind of modern screenwriting and stuff. What a fantastic show. But yeah, you're in Liverpool now. How are you finding Liverpool?
Great. I love it here. Yeah, I really love it here.
Yeah, and a really vibrant buzz. And I suppose, are you full time doing the tattoos, or do you split it between? Because I see you do a lot of YouTube videos, and your social media is huge following and stuff. So are you full
Yeah.
time tattooing, or are you split across multiple, I suppose, channels?
No, like my only real job is tattoo artist. Yeah, like YouTube, I haven't even made a video in a year now or something. That was more kind of side project just for me to talk with some people, mostly with artists to kind of show up some products with them and stuff like that. And my wife used to have a YouTube channel, and we were there more like blogging and stuff, like showing the daily lives and like stuff like that. But she also doesn't do that anymore, so I'm not there. And and I'm dad to two kids as well. That's like a full-time job. um,
Definitely, definitely. And what
uh,
what age are the kids? Are they young
uh,
or?
one of them is 14 and one will be 5 this week. Well, next week, yeah.
So that's it. That's a lot
So
of
it's
work.
like huge gap between them and completely two different kids to deal with and to I don't know, to
Yeah,
hang out.
yeah, and to get the
And
time.
yeah,
And so if you're going, like, people come in and they commission pieces, how long would you be maybe typically? I seen a really cool Ice Cube tattoo on your Instagram. Like, what's the process around that? Are you drawing that for a few days, or is it a few hours? Like, yeah, what's the process?
well, usual process, people already would know what they want to get as a tattoo. It's really rare when they say do whatever you want. And even then when they say do whatever you want and I will make some sketch for them, they never wants it anyway. So I try not to pick those, do whatever you want. So most of my customers already know what they want to do, like you mentioned before with Ice Cube piece, or like I mentioned the X Files or something. So they will come up with idea, and then we will book them in for the session, and then when it comes closer, like 2 weeks before that, I will make some sort of mock-up. I will find some designs online, mostly like photographic references, what I can use, and I'll kind of put them together, like, and then I'll show the customer if this is something what you're into, and then if not, then we can work towards more. Then at least we have some base where we can add something. They can tell what they don't like about design, what parts they like about it, and stuff like that. So usually all the process takes a couple hours probably for me to design something and send it and discuss about with the customer. So I'd say 3-4 hours maybe in total, and then we just agree on design. I'll make more sketch for them, and on a day we're just gonna do it. Most of my tattoos are done in one day. So they will come in the morning around 10 o'clock. We start, we'll put all the stencils and everything, and usually one of my pieces takes about 7 hours tattooing, sometimes like 6.5, sometimes 7.5.
Yeah, that's a long session, but
That's
that's
it.
it. It's
Yeah.
better get it all done in the one sweep. Have you a tattoo on, that you've done on yourself or you've got on, that has a really big significance or a big meaning?
Couple, yeah. I have like a tattoo when I proposed to my wife with on my fingers, like there.
Oh,
And I have my kids' names. They like mean a lot to me. And memorial tattoo for my grandmother I have as well. It's like a soldier. Kind of, she gave me that soldier as a present when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old, and
yeah,
so I was playing with it a lot during the lifetime. And so I have that tattooed, like that soldier and lettering forever on my leg. And I think that's the only one kind of what's with a meaning sort,
yeah,
apart from the kids and wife tattoo. and and I have band tattoos on me again. Keep going back to the music references. For me, that's pretty much everything, and so I have a lot of band tattoos or like some lyrics from their songs and stuff like that. But
yeah.
other than that, I don't think any of my tattoos have any meaning.
Yeah, and it kind of just like what I find is it's a lot of, I suppose, passions. It's kind of a scrapbook of you,
Yeah,
and it can be, yeah, a lot of passions because again, that's, I think, once you have tattoos, people always ask, what's the meaning, and sometimes you're like, well, look, it's just it's interests or it's passions, uh, and again, it's a storybook maybe of the person. Uh, but Anrijs, thanks so much for your time. I think this was a really good podcast. It was really interesting to get to see it, from the artist kind of mind and from your perspective. Again, I love tattoos and I like horror, so I think it was really good getting to chat to you. I suppose, where can people find you? I'll put your links down in the description and all that. But yeah, if people want to go get your tattoo with you, where do you work?
I'm based in Liverpool. It's a Baldur's Breast tattoo shop, but people should just contact me directly because it's a private studio with bookings only. So
Ah, yeah.
each of the artists deals with their own like customers, and we all just there under one roof in the Baldur's Breast studio working together.
Yeah, perfect. I'll link your Instagram as well, and
Yeah,
people can feast their eyes on your work. It's incredible stuff. And Reese,
awesome.
thanks so much for coming on. Have a lovely day, and yeah, hopefully we'll chat again.
Thank you. Thank you so much as well.
Cheers, man.
Thanks.